Hi children, good morning. This is Madhukar. I am your chess coach. Today we will learn about check, checkmate and stalemate. So what is check in the chess game children? When king is attacked by the opponent piece and that king is saved by the next move, we call it as check. Let us see this with some examples. In this example, we will see how to give check with a rook children. We know rook moves horizontally in the same rank and vertically in the same file. Here, rook has to move to a8 square in order to give check to the black king. For check, we have to add plus symbol to the notation. Here, it is RA8 plus. Here, black has two options to save the king. Either king can move to the safe square where there is no check. The safe square is F7 square. Or check can be blocked by some other piece. Here, bishop can block the check by moving it to the d8 square. Now we will see how to give the check with the knight. We know knight moves in L shape. Here, knight has to move to d3 square or g2 square in order to give check to the white king. When knight gives check from d3 square, we have to write n d3 plus as a notation. Here, king can escape to any square except f2 square, where knight is controlling that square also. When knight gives the check from g2 square, we have to write ng2 plus as a notation. Here, king can easily escape to any square where king can move. In this example, we will see how to give check with the bishop. We know bishop moves diagonally in the same color. Here, bishop has to move to b5 square in order to give check to the black king. The notation for this move is bb5 plus. The plus is a check symbol. Here, king can escape to any square except d7 square where the bishop is controlling. Now we will see how to give check with the queen. We know queen can move like a bishop, that is diagonally, and it moves like a rook, that is horizontally in the same rank and vertically in the same file. In this example, queen can give check from many squares. Let us take one by one. Here, queen can give check from c6 square, c8 square, e6 square, g8 square, e4 square, e2 square, a4 square and b5 square. Now we will see how to give the check with the pawn. We know pawn moves one step forward and captures one step diagonal. In this example, pawn moves to d7 to give check to the king, which is in e8 square. Notation what we have to write for this move is d7 plus. Plus is a symbol of check. Here, king can escape to any square and also captures the pawn which is not protected next to the king. Now we will see what is checkmate in the chess game. When king is under check and if that king has no safe square to move or it can't be saved by other piece, we call it as checkmate. Let us see few examples of checkmate. In this example, rook which is in b5 square moves to b1 square to give check to the king. White king has no safe squares to move. It can't move to second rank because white's own pawns are blocking the movement of the king, and it can't move to f1 or h1 square because same rook is controlling that square also. When king has no escape from the check, we call it as checkmate. Here, black wins and white loses. When black wins, result will be shown as 0-1. Now we will see how to give checkmate with bishop with the help of rook. Here, bishop which is in c7 square moves to e5 square to give check to the king. White king has no safe squares to move. a2 square is occupied by white's own pawn, b1 square is controlled by rook and b2 square is controlled by both rook and bishop. So, we call this situation as checkmate. For checkmate, we have to add hash symbol to the notation. So, the notation what we have to write is BE5 hash. Here also, black wins and white loses. When black wins, result will be shown as 0 dash 1. Now we will see how to give checkmate with the knight. Here knight, which is in b5, moves to d6 to give check to the king. Black king has no safe square to move, as all the squares except f7 square are occupied by black pieces, and f7 square is controlled by the same knight, which is giving check. When king has no safe square to escape from the check, we call this situation as checkmate. The notation for this move is n d6 ash. Ash is a symbol of checkmate. Here white wins and black loses. When white wins, result will be shown as 1-0. Now we will see what is stalemate in the chess game. When king is not under check and there is no legal move to that player, we call it as stalemate. Stalemate is generally a draw where both the players share half points. Now we will see how the stalemate happens with this example. Here black rook from a8 square moves to a2 square. After black moves, the white has to move their pieces. But white has no piece to move. King also can't move to any square, as rook controlling the second rank and queen controlling d1 and f1 square. Here king is not under check. Now white has to move their piece, but there is no place to move. We call this situation as stalemate. Here result will be draw. For draw, each player will share half points. Let us see one more example of stalemate. In this example, bishop from f2 square moves to d4 square, controlling g7 and h8 square. After bishop moves to d4 square, rook also starts controlling f8 and f7 square, blocking the movement of black king. Now, black has no piece to move. Even though black has a pawn, it is blocked by the white pawn. King movement is blocked by bishop and rook. So we call this situation as stalemate. The result will be draw. Both the players will share half points each. If there was no white pawn which was blocking black pawn, the game would have still continued, as black has the piece to move. Here, black pawn would have moved to h6 or h5 square and game would have continued. It is not stalemate. Now we will see the summary of check, checkmate and stalemate, what we have learned so far. When the king is attacked by the opponent piece and that king is saved by their next move, we call it as check. We can stop the check by capturing the attacked piece or moving the king to the safe square or by blocking the check by some other piece. For check, we should add plus symbol to the notation. When king is under check and if that king has no safe square to move or it can't be saved by some other piece, we call it as checkmate. For checkmate, we should add hash symbol to the notation. When king is not under check and there is no legal move to the player, we call it as stalemate. Stalemate is a special type of draw where both players share half points each. This completes our chess lessons. Next class, I will show how to play chess online. You can practice by playing chess online. Thank you children. Have a wonderful day.